What is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another episode of the Kingdom Says. I am your host, as always, Garrett Williams. Tonight, we've got a full house in the building. Once again, we've got all four of the lovely faces joining us tonight for this episode. First and foremost, Kyle Henning. Kyle, how you doing tonight?
Oh, doing all right. Had a nice bunch of weather come through here. I'm sure most of the middle portion of the country experienced some variety of ice to heavy snowfall. So dealt with that for the last few days. Couldn't really go anywhere or do anything. So, kind of got nothing done anywhere because, when it's that kind of weather outside, it's cold everywhere. You don't want to do much. Other than that, we're going to talk some ball and listen and probably go over a bunch of Chiefs stuff and then maybe talk some interesting happenings around the league that are Chiefs relevant. So we'll see what happens.
Very nice. Very good to hear. Also joining us from a cold weather environment, Mr. Randy Ellenberger. How you doing, Randy?
Doing good. I have survived the polar vortex of the upper Midwest, reaching the balmy temperature of minus 56 degrees on Saturday. So that was fun. So, bundled up, we hung out at home, did our stuff. It's time to we can go back out into the real world now that it's a whopping high of 16 today. So
you don't live in the real world. I don't like that.
Felt like a tropical heat wave from Saturday today, so that was awesome. I was back in shorts and sweatshirt. So
right, yeah. It's warming up out there for sure. It's warming up. And last but not least, another cold weather participant, Mr. Arrowhead Tom. How you doing, Tom?
I am over the cold. I could not, when I was younger, cold didn't bother me that much. As I've gotten a little bit older, maybe it's the losing the hair on top of my head, but I can't do it. If I lived where Randy lived, I would probably walk outside and immediately set myself on fire just to get warm again. Couldn't do it. Could not do it. But we are here. The weather might be colder, but the off season is heating up. That's right. We're getting in there. The Chiefs have done a thing, and maybe not a whole lot of things, but it's whatever.
You can tell we're in off season form.
Yeah, I'm not wearing pants.
And that pun was Seth Kaiser levels of bad. So we're doing things.
I don't know if that works anymore, Tom, because it's too cold to be not wearing pants. It's kind of bold,
I mean,
in other times,
thermals. We're good.
Been, okay, you're right.
No,
yeah.
It's all right.
No, I agree though. It has been.
Things, never mind.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I agree. It has been pretty cold though. I mean, it's been frigid out here in Arizona. I can tell y'all what. It's been frigid. It got down to like 60. Maybe 59 out here. So I'm with you, boys.
We're too early into the podcast for me to flip you off. Otherwise, I would have already flipped you off.
Hey, I'm just standing in solidarity with all my cold weather brothers.
Garrett would not survive up here in the frozen north.
I would not.
Garrett wouldn't survive your summers.
Yeah, this is why I choose to live in a place like this. All of you do have the option, as Kyle said in the pre-show. You have the option of just putting your stuff in a car and going somewhere warmer, But hey, respect you, everyone stay safe out there. Don't buy out the whole grocery stores. I think that was already a thing that happened. I know Kyle. I know Kyle likes grocery stores adventure before a big storm. I saw some tweets about that. So
yeah, it's great when you work in those grocery stores and then 7,000 people decide that they're never going to be able to purchase eggs, milk, and bread again. So everybody has to go to the store at the same time.
You never know.
Yes, you never know. It's true.
Yeah, it's got.
You do, in fact, know. You do.
You do know. Yeah. Something I know, folks, is that we're about to have a great time here tonight. All right, we're gonna have a good time. We're peak off-season mode right now. Not the most amount of stuff going on. The Super Bowl participants have been decided, so that's pretty relevant. A rematch of whatever Super Bowl that was a couple years ago. But the Seahawks and the Patriots running back Drake May and Mike Vrabel, his first year there.
That was the Super Bowl that Pete Carroll decided for Russell Wilson to throw it to Malcolm Butler, I believe, was the last time they played.
I remember that. I was thinking more so the number.
That was run the goddamn ball is what should happen. So.
Yeah. So much different atmosphere with Mike Vrabel first year over there in New England, taking Drake May, second year quarterback, and then and the NFC side, the Seahawks with the second-year head coach, and then Sam Darnold as the starting quarterback. Who would have ever
As
thought?
we all predicted.
Who
Yeah,
would have
this is,
thunk it,
actually I
right?
saw somewhere this is the longest odds like Super Bowl ever, like since like the 1980s like World Series, where like the two preseason favorites were like, I think they were like plus 6,000 and plus 8,000 or something like that to make the Super Bowl. So pretty crazy, pretty crazy year. After watching some of these playoff games, I'll say, man, if we even had last year's teams, fellas, oh my God, we're hoisting another Lombardi this year. That's all I have to say. Especially after that AFC Championship game performance, boy, that was ugly.
That was
And
hard to watch. That second half was.
can
Those-
I ask
those
y'all
are
something?
tough.
As cold weather,
Hey.
fans, I have a question. Are we taking cold weather out of football? What's like? Come on.
I
Why do
hate
people
that we
feel
are.
confident?
Honestly, I hate that
That's
we
kind of
are.
crazy to me. That's kind of the home
It's
field advantage, right? That's why you have
correct.
home field advantage. So it's like,
That
oh
is
no,
why
you
teams
can't.
like Miami better make sure that they get home field advantage, because they
Yeah.
don't do well when it's below a certain temperature point, and it hasn't mattered the coach. That's why teams like Jacksonville better make sure. There is a purpose to home field advantage, and it's because it sure as hell ain't the officials anymore. That used to be the myth, was that people got calls at home. No, they just suck all the way around. Hey, by the way, hasn't it been enjoyable to watch the referee discourse and it not be about? Although every time there is a disputed call, somebody pulls a clip from a Chiefs game and is like, "Well, they gave." It's like, yes, we've been at home for 2 months now. Like, what are we?
Leave us alone. We're worried about the draft,
They're living
man.
rent free in their
Who we're
heads.
going to hire as a coach?
So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, we knew this league this year was probably the most down overall across the board. Like, there is not a legitimate great team, especially on the AFC side. I wouldn't even call the Seahawks great. They're good and they're better. Like, that Rams Seahawks game felt like the Super Bowl, kind
That
of,
was a
sort
pretty
of.
good game. Yeah.
That was a good game.
That was a good one.
It was a hell of a lot better than shout out Sean Payton for putting your eggs in the Jarrett Stidham basket and not your defense that is one of the best. You should definitely try to get a touchdown instead of the field goal. How many did they lose by?
That's another plague on the NFL.
That's
another
right.
plague that's sweeping the league.
The analytics actually said kick that.
Yeah.
The
That's starting to
analytics actually said
backfire on
kick
folks.
that.
I tell you what, because that's been the theme of a couple of games now, where teams are losing by 3 points and they're passing on field goals early on. I don't know.
Detroit a couple years ago, the Bears.
Well, yeah, they were kind of the
earlier
ones that
this
started it.
year.
I mean, yeah, the Bears and Rams game, I think they both passed on multiple field goals, and that was a 3-point game to end it. Like, I don't know. The analytics, they started going crazy for a little while, and everyone's like,
but
got to go for it all the time.
That's what
And
I'm
now-
saying is the analytics
know.
actually said that Sean Payton should have kicked that freaking field goal, and he decided he was going to.
I think
gut
the
That'll
feeling.
change next year because they'll include that decision in the formula and they go, this doesn't always work as much as we think. So
Yeah.
Well,
So
but here's the
analytics
other
are
part.
good.
Like, hey, man, it's 4th and 1 at the goal line. If you're gonna go for it, what did Randy just say about the Patriots and the Malcolm Butler pick? What was that, Randy?
Run the ball.
Especially when, I don't know, Jarrett Stidham is the quarterback at the time that you're, and it's not like that was a surprise. You had a full week to prepare for. I mean,
You didn't even try to get Phillip Rivers out of retirement. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah, come on.
I guess he was
Need a little
busy
gumption
interviewing
out there.
for the Bills job that he didn't want.
He was.
So
Funny, wild times in
this
the NFL. I
league.
mean, so
All
many
right,
wild
so-
storylines, I feel like.
Where do we want to start? We want to start with the Chiefs ones and then go to the NFL, or do we want to start with the NFL since we're already here?
Well, since we're already here, Kyle, I mean, what else we got? But what else? I mean, there's a lot of head coaching vacancies that have been filled. There's been some hiring.
There is.
There's been some interviews, like we mentioned, Philip Rivers interviewing with the Bills. That was almost a thing.
Why did Philip Rivers have to interview with the Bills? I thought Sean McDermott was coaching there. Oh, wait.
No, he gone. Yeah, he gone. He is
Apparently,
officially fired, and Brandon
according
Beane
to-
promoted.
According to Terry Pagula,
Crazy.
the reason that Sean McDermott was fired was because Josh Allen would not talk to him in the locker room, I believe was the gist of what I got from that portion of the interview.
And they were all
If you
crying.
haven't watched,
And they were all crying in the locker room.
yes, that's why Josh wouldn't acknowledge him, was because he
Yeah, 'cause he's too
was
busy
sobbing,
crying.
apparently. I don't know, man. That if you haven't watched that Buffalo press conference, if you ever want to see what not to do in the press conference as an owner or really anybody, That's a good press conference to watch.
I tell you what, some of these owner press conferences have been kind of electric, for people of like that aren't fans of the team, like
and people who aren't Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
They're sitting at home. He just
owner
lost
just
the
roasting
playoff
that
game.
guy.
Catching strays on his day off.
And he's got the owner, not even the GM, the owner of the team going, no, we didn't want that guy.
We really didn't want that
guy. Keon, man.
And shout out the internet, because it took about 3 seconds for them to pull the Buffalo Bills documentary of the draft process, where Brandon Beane is apparently being the most team player on the planet, according to Terry Pagula, and saying, oh, this is our guy unless somebody blows us away with a trade offer. And, man, I'm glad he ran slow so that we can get him, like, buddy. And if you're watching the press conference, I think Brandon Beane, when Terry jumped in and said what he said, you see Brandon go, oh, damn. Because here's a fun fact. Brandon Beane went to school for communications. Terry Pagula did not go to school for communications, in case anybody was curious.
And we know that Terry Pagula is a very loved owner, both in the NFL and hockey, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Sabres fans can tell you all kinds of fun stories about Terry and Kim Pagula as far as like trying to put a functioning roster on a playing surface. Nice. Yeah, it's not been great for the Sabres for the last, I don't know, decade-ish or more.
How long have they owned the team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A while. Pretty much that whole stretch.
Decade or more.
And then some.
Give or take.
I mean, it's been a hot minute. I don't know. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
And, legitimately, you fired the coach because the players felt like they hit a wall. You felt like they hit a wall. Okay. But to follow that up with, I fired them because they were crying I fired them because they were crying in the locker room, and then to continue to jump in and like actively. And when you said that your GM that you just promoted didn't want Keon Coleman and he wasn't his first choice on the board, you didn't say Sean McDermott's name. You said the coaches. Well, I don't know if you've paid attention, Terry, but you only fired one guy at this point.
And you're interviewing the OC for the job.
The rest of that coaching staff, including a guy that you are literally interviewing for the position, would have been involved in those conversations with said coach. And, oh, by the way, we're not talking about a player who's in year 5 and is no longer under contract by you because you guys either didn't take his 5th-year option or didn't sign him to an extension. No. He's still 2 years more under contract with you.
Yeah, he's still on his rookie deal. Right. Yeah. I'll tell you, some of these we need more owner press conferences. That's what I've concluded. There's been a couple good ones.
Between him and no offense to the Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross is like 85 years old. I'm not terribly surprised he doesn't know the names of the people he's hiring. Mm-hmm. I'm not really shocked. I mean, he's 85. Who can blame him? Right. I would have thought that maybe they would have like cue carded him or notes on the lectern or teleprompter or something. Mm-hmm. Nah, it's fine. Steve Biscotti was funny and at least didn't grab active players and coaches and throw them under the team bus as it was driving by at full speed. So,
right.
But that Bills press conference, and then he spent the rest of the time, by the way, after saying that he fired him for that game, saying that the refs were the reason they lost the game. So it's a lot of mixed messaging and very little accountability for, I don't know, anybody, which maybe is part of the problem because that roster was again.
Yeah. Hey,
I don't know, man. When's the last time they haven't gotten made fun of for a first-round draft pick? Because Keon Coleman, Kyrie Elam,
or any of their draft picks. I mean, they have not had very good draft classes. You look through that, and they have not had many.
That was a pretty solid pick.
Who?
Greg Rousseau. I think it was 2019, 2022.
Hey, Tom, what year is it?
I actually don't know. I quit keeping track of those things.
We are approaching the 2026 NFL draft.
Yeah.
He was in 2021.
Okay. Hey.
And everything else around him has been roughly the equivalent of lighting a draft pick on fire, especially after you take your wide receiver and crush his confidence under a wrecking ball.
Yeah, well,
In their defense, Keon Coleman wasn't a first-round pick. They traded out of the first round to take him in the second
He
round.
was like the 33rd
33 overall. Right. Yeah.
But they traded
all this really goes to say that people who complain about Clark Hunt, they don't really know how bad it could get. I mean, obviously there's certain things, but Clark Hunt, as far as like press conferences and stuff, very well put together, very knows all the right things to say. Would never say anything like this. So that was
There's
pretty wild.
basically two types of owners. There's guys that are in the Jerry Jones ownership grouping setup where
Jerry.
every press conference is made for content. And then there's guys like Robert Kraft and Clark Hunt and who's the owner of Arthur Blank from the Falcons, and some of those guys who like either don't say anything, I don't know, ever because hey, I'm not a football guy, I pay people for that. Or
well, I mean, did you hear Kraft talk a little bit at the trophy? Like he's getting to the point where old dude probably shouldn't be speaking in public.
Yeah, they need to get Kraft.
Yeah, he is, but at least it's taken like 25 years of that, and he's like rather old now, kind of like Stephen Ross in Miami. And not like Jerry, where he's also old and just says God knows what, whenever, however, like you just got with Terry Pagula from the Buffalo Bills. I mean, look, man, that's as bad of a press conference as you're going to see to announce the promotion of a guy who everybody thought would be fired with the coach when you fired the coach. And now, who wants that job? Like, legitimately, who wants that job?
There's a couple of jobs that are not very appealing. Them, the Browns.
The Browns have actively had people like, nah, I'd rather be a quarterback coach and the head coach of your franchise. It's fine.
The Robert Kraft thing, I don't know. There's something about Robert Kraft that's always just rubbed me the wrong way.
All right, Tom. Thanks for coming,
Tom is on a roll tonight.
He's a night, fellas.
Together a stand-up bit.
Okay. So press conferences. Speaking of press conferences, we had a press conference to talk about this just recently here. Andy Reid had a press conference
today.
Yeah, today or yesterday if you're watching yesterday, or you get it. Andy Reid had a press conference. He said a lot of good stuff in there. He did say a lot of good stuff.
January 26th. Andy Reid had a press conference.
January 26th, exactly. There you go, Randy. Good timestamp on it. Andy came out with a lot of questions and answering a lot about Eric Bieniemy, the promotion, bringing him back, citing, hey, we've had pretty good luck bringing guys back, and then listed a lot of guys that he brought back. I don't know if Nagy was on that list, but, hey, that was one guy that he brought back, so neither here nor there.
Nagy was on that list.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a good amount of stuff that we've learned from Andy Reid today, and
I'd say the most telling thing from that press conference today. I'm sure you guys are going to talk about like what he said, but it was even noted by some of the reporters the energy level that he seemed to be carrying into that press conference versus most of the time when we get Andy in a press conference, it looks like he'd rather be getting his wisdom teeth pulled. I mean, you guys have watched enough of his press conferences. You can tell me if I'm off base with that, but he looks like he would rather be about 100 places than in front of those cameras and those microphones 3 times a week during the season. So a lot more energy, a lot more fiery, a lot more very, very specific about what he was saying, and also gave us a lot more than he normally does. So there's a bunch to touch on, but I think for me the biggest thing was the energy. I'll let everybody else kind of pick apart some of the stuff he said. So,
yeah, Randy, what did you think of some of the press conference stuff?
Yeah, I mean, he did seem like he was trying to give us a little bit more than he typically does. I didn't get a chance to listen to all of it. I caught bits and pieces in between running from job to job today, but mentioning that potentially giving up some play calling ability in certain situations or taking more feedback, stuff like that, and I think he's ready to turn a page maybe a little bit. Maybe start listening to a little bit, some outside voices, maybe a little bit more taking some maybe constructive criticism on certain situations and scenarios. But I mean, I have to listen to the whole thing to get the whole gist of it all. But from what I did hear, I mean, it sounds like, yeah, there's some energy, there's some maybe, a little bit of changing of the guard potentially a little bit. So, Andy's still going to be Andy, I think, till the end. But I think as maybe he's gotten wiser, a little longer in the tooth, maybe he's going to take some, maybe lean on some of the guys that he has around him a little bit more instead of trying to do everything himself on that side of the ball, which I think is a little bit uplifting. Gives you a new little bit of life, I think.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's some more positivity from Andy than usual time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that were interesting, and it won't. To the media's credit, I think they did a good job of not throwing him too many softball questions. There's a lot of people, especially kind of in the amateur circles of covering this team, who want to just be very cynical and run with some like conspiracy theories, like this idea that Andy didn't kick the tires or at least have some conversations with some other people.
Allegedly,
I'm not saying that it was that he didn't have a preference or a priority, but I'm sure that there were conversations that transpired throughout the process, right? Especially when you don't know if Bieniemy is even going to be interested in the job. Formally, you don't know how much communication they had before, Bears out of the playoffs, all that stuff. But it's
zero, Tom. Zero.
Yeah.
We can't be tampering with
of
coaches.
course.
There was
Yeah,
none.
I'm sure nobody had any conversations with him.
Brett did not talk to Ryan Poles at all. They don't even know each other, okay?
Exactly. So again, formally, you don't know how much, what all that looks like. But yeah, I felt like, and we talked a lot about the crossroads and the decisions this offseason. I don't know if people were expecting Andy to get up there and be like, you know what, guys, you are right. I suck at this, and we're going to keep sucking at it, and we're just going to not change anything and hope that everything goes well. And I also think that he's not going to throw his guys under the bus, right? The fact that he moved on from Matt Nagy and moved on and fired two coaches, like that's different from Andy's status quo. And you guys have heard me say this late in the season, right? It's better to be late than, or it's better to be early than late. Same thing applies to coaching. If there was a transition that was going to happen, like whatever, but I don't hear that from Andy. I don't hear that, this thought of, oh, I might hang it up in a year or two. I think he's still got a couple of years in him, and he's coaching and preparing like he's going to be the coach next year and the year after that and the year after that, right? And so he's ready to hang it up, and that's fine. I think he's earned that, assuming that his, the way he prepares and the way he does this and approaches things with Brett this offseason yields the positive results. Part of the frustration is like we can be honest about how bad the team looked and how things fell apart, and also acknowledge that the Chiefs are coming off a unprecedented run of success, and that Andy Reid is still one of the greatest head coaches, top 3 in NFL history, and also is still a really good, relevant play caller. The other thing that kind of he said was just about being ready, having guys ready, and we talked about that. We talked about what it meant to have guys ready on game day, and how I think that hampered Andy's play calling ability, because he didn't have the trust and the faith that guys were ready, or that they could, call certain plays or run certain, situations. The offense was definitely not, like, down the stretch, it just looked so bland and so frustrating. I don't think they thought they could run the ball. I don't think they thought that they could run, certain pass concepts against certain coverages and win against man and some of these other things. It's just they didn't feel like their players were ready, and I think they responded accordingly to that.
Yeah, it was very interesting to hear Andy talk specifically about Eric Bieniemy and just kind of what he brings back to the table and how much of a stark difference it really feels like we're getting at OC, and he tried to talk Nagy up as much as he could, but it seems like the overwhelming thought was just like, man, it's so much better to have EB back here and have him in that role. The accountability factor, just keeping guys ready, like everything, like you guys said. And it's just the way that he talked about EB. It's like, man, how did this? I don't know. It just seems like this should have happened maybe a lot longer. As Kyle has a coughing, sneezing attack, it just seems like this should have happened, sooner. But also, we know how Andy is with loyalty and stuff like that. But it's interesting how they've kind of spun this in a way where they're like, it's kind of the similar deal of when EB left, where it was like, we really think he deserves a head coaching opportunity, so we're going to let him move on. And I know Nate Taylor's reported that this was kind of the plan all year, was to have Matt Nagy as this last year and then have him go on to probably a head coaching job. But at this point, I don't know if that's even likely. Either way, I feel like it's good for both sides. It gets Matt Nagy a chance to be at least his own OC somewhere, if not a head coach, and he can kind of do his own thing and kind of get out of Andy Reid's shadow. And I think Andy's probably very happy about adding EB back and just, like he acknowledged it too. Like EB has been around now. He's seen a lot of different things and he has a lot more to add to the table than, a guy that has only been, if you think about it, like Nagy was with the Chiefs, then he's with the Bears, and then he's just right back with the Chiefs. So he really didn't and he was the head guy for the Bears. So it's not like he's necessarily maybe the most receptive to learning from like his under coaches and stuff like that. So in a way, it's very beneficial that Eric Bieniemy has kind of been an OC in a couple places, was with the Bears, as a running backs coach and UCLA and all that stuff, learning different things from different folks instead of kind of just, Nagy was here and then he's just here, but Chicago and then here again. So it's not really, you're not really expanding much. So definitely kind of set us back a little bit, you might say, in the offense, but we also won 2 Super Bowls since Nagy was here. So you really can't be too mad about it. A lot of optimism though, I think that was coming from Andy and what it could potentially look like different. And he's acknowledging that, hey, change is going to have to happen, and change is already happening with a lot of these position coaches and hirings and firings and stuff like that. So it's good that he at least acknowledges, he's still got a little bit of that, well, we were doing okay before Pat's injury, but, still.
Yeah, the top 10 offenses thing before Pat, that was a little.
Yeah, and that's almost, I feel like some of that is maybe him just trying to hype up Nagy a little more in a way, trying to just be like, hey, we were pretty good with Nagy here, but we're actually going to be good again with EB. So I don't know. It's Andy's usually pretty particular with the words that he says and whatnot, and he really tries to make sure every one of his guys gets a good amount of credit where it's due. So I can see both sides of that, where he's trying to hype up Nagy, but also really excited for EB, which I think is nice that he shares kind of some of the sentiment of the fan base that acknowledges that, we might have not, formally requested other OC interviews and stuff like that, but this is what we, at least on this pod, have been echoing of, like, this is probably a good decision for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a little bit of concern because some of it is like, okay, you're saying you've always taken stuff from underneath and so on and so forth. And he did give more insight about him. I love play calling, but I do turn it over sometimes situationally, which is something we've never, ever, ever, ever heard him say ever. And we've never heard any of his former players say that. So maybe that's a new thing we're going to see this year. I could almost guarantee you they're not going to tell us when EB is calling plays and when Andy is. I almost guaranteed that's not taking place.
Fans will decide for ourselves,
Which is always exactly what you want.
That was a good play. That was EB's play. We got to be on that
speculating. Side. Yeah, definitely that. So there's that part. But it's nice that, and I thought the stuff that he said about Pat, he loves this guy, but he also loves this guy. Don't take it as he doesn't love Nags. He loves both of them. And again, we also talked about, like, there's no way EB's getting that job if Pat didn't be like, yeah, I'm okay. I want him back too. Like, he's not interviewing them. He's not involved in the day-to-day, but I guarantee you they asked his opinion. And we talked about it when he did the presser. It was like, he said EB buzzwords. That means that's something interesting.
Sign.
Patrick's usually very careful about his buzzword usage.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, they kind of had the writing somewhat on the walls previously. So, I understand people are a little apprehensive or whatnot about certain things, but at the end of the day, it's always going to be Andy's offense until Andy's done. But I do think EB provides more pushback because they've made it certainly clear that he will push back against anybody, and that includes Andy Reid. So we'll see what happens with everything, but I do expect it to be a little bit of a different layout with EB after his return. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. This team's going to look real different come opening day.
Yeah, there's a good chance, especially with the amount of just turnover that the roster has and a lot of decisions that have to be made there. It's going to be interesting. But I'm still pretty optimistic about what the potential could be for this offense specifically, because that's the biggest thing that we've been lacking the past couple years is just explosive, exciting offense. So hopefully, knock on wood, we can finally get back to that a little bit and just have just a little bit of change of style. Maybe have some good running backs in there. Maybe have another wide receiver target that knows how to run routes properly and stuff like that. It's just little things like that we'll have to wait and see how the development process goes this year as opposed to the past couple years.
There's some potential movement from the position coach thing since you brought that up. We already know they hired a new wide receiver coach that it sounds like Stefanski may have taken with him given the option, but he wasn't really given the option. So, I mean, good, I think.
Super Bowl 60 deserves a sportsbook built for the moment. And DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. You got players like JSN, Kenneth Walker, Ramondre Stevenson, Stephon Diggs, all these playmakers on both sides of the ball, two amazing defenses. This is going to be a great game. And when anything can happen during the Super Bowl, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. This is honestly one of the best parts of DraftKings, the early exit protection. If a player goes down early in the first half, your bet gets voided and you get cashed out instantly. No bonus bets and no waiting. And if you're new to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KingdomSays. That's code KingdomSays to turn just $5 into $300 in bonus funds if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas. Wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
And then there's rumor. Joe Cullen interviewed for a couple of jobs. I think one of those got filled. And there's talk about from people around. I mean, I listened to Chris Clark from Chiefs Corner, who works with Ryan Tracy, and some of the other guy who works with Matt Derrick a lot. There's been a lot of conversation about whether or not Andy Heck retires, doesn't retire, moves on. I doubtful, but probably would be retire type thing if they did go a different direction from that. Another thing to keep an eye on. And then I think they still have a couple of assistant spots, and I think the running back coach is
still need a running back coach. Yeah,
open.
And then a couple assistants. I think they maybe like a pass game coordinator or something. I don't know if Blaymeyer's still on there or what, but you can kind of just make up those titles in different spaces. Like
Mike Kafka today, right?
Mike Kafka, exactly. Yeah, they made up a title for him, and he's not the OC, but he's a high-ranking offensive
or
something.
Assistant. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, well, I would have given him that title. I would have given him whatever stupid random title you would have had to bring him back. But I don't know I don't know. I'm sure that was maybe a conversation. Maybe that was one of the mysterious OC interviews that Andy had, but ultimately still not really. You said what?
You mean other than, hey, Joe, come talk to me for 5 minutes about the offense that you've been a part of, and then we can call this an interview and we can move on with our day?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just gonna say, don't take Dave Merritt. Dave Merritt has to stay.
Yeah, he's another one who's in contention for a couple jobs. I think the Cowboys job he interviewed for, but I think they filled that spot too. So that's good for us that we can keep some of those position coaches and whatnot. But other than that, there hasn't been any other movement really for the Chiefs coaching staff. Still have some positions that we're eagerly awaiting to be filled and see if they make any other developments on some of those fronts. But yeah, after that, it's mostly just kind of all board ahead to what's the phrase? That's not a phrase.
Steam ahead.
Is that the phrase?
Full steam ahead.
Full steam ahead, maybe.
Aboard.
All
Full
aboard.
head of hair. That's nothing I know about. I know nothing about that.
Yeah, you're right. Something like that. But where the focus is going to be on free agency and the draft, obviously, for them now. I think once they finally got an EB in the building, I'm sure, and I think we're going to hear from EB even later this week, so that'll be fun. So yeah, the staff is almost complete. The changes are almost done, and then it's time for the real nitty gritty stuff of rosters and salary caps and players and cuts and signings and free agency mumbo jumbo and all that good stuff that's going to be coming up soon. But we're not really touching about that. We're going to talk a little more about draft prospects today because there's a couple notable games happening. You could say the East-West Shrine Bowl has been going on this past week, or might have even concluded this weekend. And then the Senior Bowl is coming up this next weekend. So there's already a lot of people going down there to Mobile to take part in that, which is one of the probably the best. I mean, the Senior Bowl is probably the best. I guess you could say college all-star game. College. I don't know what they necessarily label it as. Just scouting.
Yeah, they're college all-star.
College all-star games.
Yeah.
I will say, just because I follow these things year round, I do want to say. So the Shrine Bowl is played on January 27th. We're recording this about.
Oh, okay. So I'm watching this.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this Tuesday morning, you could potentially go check the Shrine Bowl out. The Shrine Bowl is run by Eric Galco now. Galco is an awesome football guy and has actually put together quite a group down there. And it's just good. The Shrine Bowl has been around forever, and it's kind of had an up and down history in the last 20, 30 years or so. But I think Eric's really got names down there, some guys to watch, some strong candidates to be day two guys. So definitely worth. I know the Senior Bowl has recently been kind of the bigger name, but the more of these games, the better. The more there's a cat's tail. The more of those, the better for the draft community, for these players to get a chance to showcase what they can do. And Kiara is here to agree with me.
Yeah, it's good that there's a couple of these college all-star games that go on. The Hula Bowl was one that happened a week or two ago. That one didn't seem very good. There's a couple other interesting ones. But yeah, the Shrine Bowl is a really good one. The Senior Bowl obviously is really good. And it's the first real kind of step that a lot of these the staffs and scouting departments and whatnot can kind of get in there and get a little more of an eye on some of these guys. A big thing that I always look for, and I don't know how you guys feel about these all-star games and whatnot, but measurements is always a big thing, right? That's always a big thing that you kind of gets revealed, like Diego Pavia, the Vanderbilt quarterback, who is listed at 6 foot on Vanderbilt's website. He measured in at 5'9" and 7/8.
Yeah,
I've seen more honesty on Tinder bios. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's pretty drastic. So it really exposes some guys and really gets them down to the nitty gritty of real unbiased measurements going down. So that's always a really big thing that you look for on a couple of these all-star games before obviously the NFL Combine themselves, where they do a lot of the measuring and whatnot. But I know the Senior Bowl is always one where they really, really get a good measurement on guys, and because they have a real good staff down there, and you can get a lot more info on that front. So that's a big thing I always look for. I don't know what you guys kind of highlight whenever you watch these all-star games.
I mean, you get a lot of those true measurements and stuff, but this is where you start to see glimpses of guys that you have probably never heard of or never had an opportunity to watch. You mean so a recent bowl game, the American Bowl, was just a couple of nights ago, and there was a lot of buzz around this area because there was a Division II quarterback from Minnesota State University of Moorhead, where I actually went to college there for a couple of years. But Jack Strand, a 6'4", 250-pound quarterback who was uber athletic and might just have the strongest arm of any quarterback in this class, generated a lot of buzz. Not just in our area, but after that, it kind of opened some eyes. Like, he is a picturesque statue of a quarterback-looking person. So it's stuff like that. You get to see a lot of these guys that you probably have never heard of before, didn't get an opportunity to see. Now they're lining up against guys from D3 to D2 to FCS to FBS. They're playing against some of these other guys, and I think that's probably the most fun part for me is just trying to find the diamonds in the rough type deal. And even with a kid like Jack Strand, in a really weak quarterback class, as physically gifted as this kid is, even though it was a Division II program, like he put up some numbers throwing the football for the Dragons this year. So
it's nice.
you get to see some.
I just can't.
What's that?
Go ahead. I just can't wait for the player comp to be exactly who we think the player comp is going to be.
So I mean, that's probably the best part for me.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, to get eyes on guys that are like later round guys that maybe potential UDFAs that you never even heard of, and you get more of an eye on one isolated eye on them. Tom, is that right?
Yeah. So if you're watching the YouTube video and I look distracted, my cat is currently trying to chew through the microphone cord. So I'm trying to redirect her behavior away from that.
Yeah.
She's mad that she's not the star of the show, I guess. One of the things that I want to keep an eye on is the number of meetings. So the Senior Bowl changed. I think the Shrine Bowl made some tweaks to, for a while there were less. We've seen the last couple of years less coaches, less GMs traveling to like the combine and traveling to some of these events, partially because they have less access to players because the players are so busy. So I know the Senior Bowl specifically set kind of a hard stop time for practices and opened up some more time for like those unofficial conversations, meetings with teams and players, which I think is going to be huge. So just I always keep track of that. Brett Veach is not really secretive about who he's meeting with. It's hard for teams to keep that under wraps, but who they're meeting with. A lot of times you can find those meetings and scroll down the list and go, oh, yep, they drafted that guy. They drafted that guy. Really, the first round people are the guys that they really want to kind of hide, especially this year. But picking towards the top portion of the class. So, but yeah, those interviews always important to watch.
Yeah. Kyle, what do you like about All-Star games?
Maybe just mostly the measurements and the team drills. People get really hyped off the one-on-one drills, especially with the O-line and the wide receivers and DBs. And we've talked about it in training camp about 50 million times. That stuff's fun and all, but there's 5 linemen on the field most of the time. There's multiple wide receivers and routes. There's all kinds of factors. And the wide receiver stuff is fun. You watch a guy make 9 moves at the line of scrimmage because he can't break the guy, and then he beats him finally. It's like, oh, he won the rep. Well, his quarterback's dead, but he won the rep. Yeah. So mostly for me, it's measurement stuff and then team drills. I think the small school guys getting to show out in some of these is really important, or the D2 stuff. Like I said, I made the joke. Be prepared for the kid that Randy just mentioned to get Josh Allen comps. Just be ready for it. A big arm, big guy, athletic, small school in the middle of nowhere no one's ever heard of. It tracks fully with what that.
Minnesota State University of Moorhead. Yep.
And their mascot.
Yeah, and you know how
Dragon?
many days old I was when I found out that they had a football team? Today. That's how many years old I was. And I work with Randy on this
about
podcast.
that,
so
but I don't know. Yeah.
Hey, the Dragons, that's the last helmet I ever strapped on, so they still hold a little piece of my heart.
Shout out
like
to
I said,
them.
and I do this show with Randy, and I didn't know that they had a football program until he
Didn't
just
know
said
they
that
existed.
today. So
Yeah, shout out MSUM.
Yep.
That's a mouthful and a half for an abbreviation as it is.
It's a lot.
But
yeah.
like, I mean, you've seen it, like guys like Quinn Miners, who were nowhere, and then a second round draft pick, or I think he was a second round draft pick, early second.
Yeah,
and he's carved out a starting role, and I think he's gotten paid now. Like that kind of stuff is where you find some of those guys. This is where they go look a lot for. Hey, we know the top half of this draft, but where am I going to be? Who am I going to be taking in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th? Calling for priority free agents, things like that, and then the measurement stuff comes into big play because, for better or for worse, this team and this front office and this coaching staff, they have parameters, and unless you're god of football, you better fall into those parameters. Like, you better either be the second coming of Aaron Donald or Calvin Johnson, or pick your favorite superstar psychopath player.
Trent
You
Cole.
better look like them in college, or you're not. And if your measurements aren't inside their windows,
the next Brandon Graham, maybe Trent Cole.
You're gonna have to.
And have a section for those guys.
That's the kind of stuff that I pay attention to, is the measurements, and some of the guys that maybe are farther off the radar in some of these that have decent showings, especially in the team drill stuff, or guys that you hear real coachable, good leader. Because if you go look at the Chiefs draft history the last few years, leadership, multiple year guys, captains, teammates, like that's all roped into that bundle. So we'll see if there's a change in philosophy. I highly doubt it. So I'm going to operate under the same impression I've had for the last several drafts of the guy better be the most talented thing on the planet and maybe be a good dude, potentially. Or you can scrap the good dude part and just be insanely talented, and you can figure out which recent Chiefs draft pick I'm talking about for that
one. There's a couple of those.
I do want to push and say that some of the measurable stuff, and this is, I mean, a little more recent, but they've been a little bit less strict about it. They've taken some corners with shorter arms. They've taken Ashton Gelati as a size anomaly. We talked about that when he was drafted. I think that if the talent is there, they're willing to go outside the parameters. But I think oftentimes they default to a certain size, style of player. I will also share that and I'm blanking on his name. All I can remember about him is that he sounds like Hank Hill when he talks. The new director of the Senior Bowl. I've listened to several interviews with him. He's very much of the mind of, bigger players. I think at the Senior Bowl, there's only 2 corners that are under 6 foot there this year. So if that's what they're looking at, the good news is the Senior Bowl is going to have a lot of those players to showcase. So it'll be interesting to see how much they stick to that, especially because this draft class is a strange one.
It's a strange one, yeah. Top edge rusher has T-Rex arms, and you should still draft him even despite that. I'm just saying.
He didn't make it down to the Senior Bowl. I am desperate for those arm measurements. I know that sounds ridiculous because he's such a good player, but
I honestly hope they're short, so everyone just like, nope, can't draft him. Sorry, take him off the boards. Right. He just falls right to 9, just like Daniel Jeremiah predicted. Come on home.
You better hope that it also doesn't take him off their board, because they're one of the teams that I would expect that to take him off their board first.
I know Spags would look at that guy and be like, yeah, he's not a type of dude. He's my type of dude. Ashton Gelati just won the Mackley Hill Award for the Chiefs Rookie of the Year, so shout out him.
Yes,
shout out Patrick Mahomes for winning the Team MVP Award.
They're like, "Did you see how bad we are without him?"
They're like,
he's the
thank
MVP
you so much.
forever.
Yeah, we look like a train wreck without you. So
Hey, thanks for literally giving up your knee for a season that was KO'd. Here's the award for being our Derek
and George
Thomas.
Karlaftis winning the Ed Block Courage Award. So shout out George as well. So
no, this is going to sound like a shot at George. It's absolutely not. The Courage Award? What? Because he went out there and played every snap on defense, knowing
I don't know what exactly
he
that
and Chris
award is
might
supposed
not
to.
like.
Yeah,
I would love for more information about that award. Like,
I don't know what that award necessarily means, but shout out.
I would just like to.
Maybe it's just a work ethic award, and that's courage. I don't know, but
maybe.
Like I said, I'm not taking a shot at George. I legitimately have no idea what that award is actually for, and I don't think there's a whole lot of like info on what it's based upon because I haven't been able to find it anywhere. And I looked earlier today because I was like, what even is this?
I just want.
I mean, I know what the Derek Thomas one is, and I know what the Mackley Award is. Those are very commonly known. I didn't know that we had a Courage Award.
I guess every team. So fun fact, I just Googled it. The Ed Block Courage Award is for every team. Every team has one, and it's in their eyes exemplifies commitment to the principles of sportsmanship and courage.
Okay, that makes sense. George being that makes perfect sense. I understand that.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I also wanted to acknowledge that we're living in a world where I think Chris Oladokun was only a couple games away from maybe making the Pro Bowl roster with Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, my God.
I think we should start the movement right here. If one more quarterback drops, I want to see my boy Chris playing in Hawaii, Florida.
How many quarterbacks? Bro, nobody knows because nobody's watched that game in 4 years.
Just scrap it. Like, just have it be an award that's given, like the All-Pro Award. Just say, hey, you're a fan-voted Pro Bowler. Scrap the freaking game because
they did scrap the game. It's a skills challenge now. There's not even a game.
People still don't care.
Everything. Just get rid of anything that has anything to do with
send them on vacation for a week on the NFL's dime. Call it a day.
Because what they did today is a mockery of any kind of all-star voting ballot. Just oh my God.
He only had a worse resume than Tyler Huntley did when he made the Pro Bowl. It's okay, all right? You guys remember that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Tyler Huntley made the Pro Bowl after 17 quarterbacks opted out.
This is worse. Like, there are high school quarterbacks who deserved a Pro Bowl not more than this.
Randy, put up the watch, brother. Come on. Put up the gold watch. Join the bandwagon.
It's a farce. Get rid of the whole damn thing.
You know the worst part of this whole thing with the Pro Bowl stuff? The fact that the PA tied contract incentives to Pro Bowls.
Oh my God.
That's the part for me. Like, I'm with Randy. Like, it's it's absolutely pointless. It's not in the middle of the year. Every other sport, the All-Star game is the middle of the year, or at least in between regular season games. It serves as a break. The rest of the league gets a bye week essentially. And it's a whole deal. The Pro Bowl used to be the way to keep football on between the AFC and the NFC championship games and the Super Bowl. And then everybody was like, after Sean Taylor killed the punter, everybody else was like, we can't be actually trying in this. Like, this seems dangerous. And then it went from like guys just like touching people like when they were going by them, like putting their hands out. And now we don't even have a game. It's a skills contest. And you got people being like, well, Travis Kelce's retiring because he didn't want to go to the Pro Bowl. And I'm like, guys, I don't know who tweeted it. I don't remember the account, but it said he was replaced due to injury. And the quote tweet of the injury announcement was, he's injured with, I don't want to fucking go itis. And that's it. Yeah. Like, nobody gives a damn. Also, like
7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Like, this is Pro Bowl worthy.
Hey, it was 1,400 yards.
Shut up.
Shut up.
But like, Trevor Lawrence, you know they had to go through like everybody in the AFC, and they were all like, No,
Somebody,
I'm not doing that.
please.
Please don't make us coach
Philip
Shador.
Rivers deserves
Because-
more of a Pro Bowl nod.
Yeah, they should
Because-
just give it to Rivers, honestly.
Yeah, let Rivers play.
He was busy interviewing for the Bills job that he
Yeah.
then took himself out
He
of,
had better
guys.
things to do as well.
Yeah,
So,
the Pro Bowl
I
is-
mean,
it's just-
like I said,
They need to get rid of it,
just
probably.
needs to.
Yeah.
No,
they-
you know what you need to do? You need to turn it into the Pro Bowl drinking games. Take all of these dudes, set up the beer pong, set up the cornhole, set up everything that you
Maybe,
expect this
yeah.
to be. They do it anyway. They
I
already
mean, they
do
tried
it.
doing that, yeah.
The Bussin' with the Boys guys do a big NFL NFL players all show up and party and we record. They already do it. Just do that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what?
I don't know.
We put the
Do it for
whole-
make it a charity thing. Give yourself good PR and make them have fun for a week. Send them on vacation. Let them go play drinking games in Hawaii and eat pork.
What it is
made
now is an
underground
absolute
and
farce and mockery of anything that has anything to do with
it's
football.
but it has been. It has been, Randy. It's been that
This
for
is the
it's been that
lowest
for
of
a
low
decade.
points. The lowest of low points.
I guess. I thought it was pretty low when they made it a skills contest and not a game. I thought we pretty much hit
It
the
all
floor.
it all went to
The
hell when they
problem-
stopped going to Hawaii.
Yeah, well, the big problem is that they tied it
Vegas
to
is
the
probably
incentives.
fun. They
But
could do it in Vegas too.
Yeah.
But again, they tied it to contract incentives. They can't just get rid of it.
That's
They've gotta
the
do
that's the thing.
something.
The
So
fact
but
that
at
it's
the next
not linked to all
CBA,
pros.
they can have that conversation. But yeah, that's like I said, if Shador drops out or whatever, I'm really hoping we see Chris get the call. I think that would be storybook and appropriate at this point.
That would be pretty funny,
yeah.
honestly.
He was only a few passes behind Shador in my
The
book.
QB rating's got to be similar, at least. I mean,
Jesus. But
Anyways.
yeah. So all right, are we ready to do the one thing we're going to do tonight that's really Chiefs
I don't
focused
know.
other than the coach
I don't know if
talk,
we're
or
gonna
we
have
even gonna
time
do it?
for. I don't know if we're gonna have time for a mock draft. We're 54 minutes into this. I think we might have jumped the shark on doing a mock
We're
draft.
looking forward to it.
Well, I
Okay,
tell you
we'll
what. Do we want to do it?
We'll do a quick one, Tom. If you
Quick
want
one
to
for you, Adder?
Let's
Yeah.
I'll make all the decisions. All right, I've got PFF pulled up. I'm sharing my screen
It's
right
great time.
now. We're going. If you're not watching on YouTube, you should be, so that you can follow along at home. We've got the PFF mock draft simulator
Maybe like
pulled
this.
up. I've got the Chiefs
Yeah.
picked. I'm spitting. I'm so excited. They're letting me do a mock
Don't,
draft.
don't go as random as you did earlier, though. That was
I did not. I did go one tick up on randomness
bananas.
and one tick down on care for positional value because I think we're early in the process, so there's going to be some movement. And this is a weird draft class. I think people are going to have to swallow some feelings about positional value.
Let's do this. Tom, remind everybody about how many first round talents are in this draft class.
So
Consensus, not necessarily yours, but the consensus we've seen being
generally
pushed.
speaking, we're looking at less
15
than
to
normal,
20
probably
tops.
10 to 12.
17.
Now, usually they say 50 to 20. This draft, 15 would be generous for this class.
I keep seeing 8 to 10.
Yeah. 15
I'd
would
say
be
about
generous.
12, 13.
I would say I'm probably closer to that 10 mark. I've got a couple more guys who are up there who are going to sneak in, but they're really guys who would be late first rounders in a normal draft class. Again, I've said this before. It's a rough draft class. That doesn't mean you have an excuse. Your job is to find talent. This draft class is gonna make some teams and it's gonna break some teams. That's the whole role of the evaluators. You got to be out there to hunt. You can go get your guys. Any questions, concerns before I hit start?
We are using PFF's mock draft simulator against my will for our audio listeners.
Yeah, we'll
That's
switch
it.
it
That's
up.
all you
That's our
need to know.
first one. I
Yeah,
just think
switch
they've
it
got the
we got 4 or 5 of them we can use.
they've got the freshest feel for things right now. All right, boom, hyperspeed. We're gonna scroll up. Mendoza went 1.
Bain at
Marvell
3.
Reese went 2. Ruben Bain, number 3 to the Cardinals.
Cardinals, you don't want
Downs to the Titans at 4. Bailey to the Giants. Tyson to the Browns. Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State.
Got the best
goes to
receivers left.
Washington. Peter Woods goes pick 8 to New Orleans. For some people, this would be a nightmare scenario.
For
No,
certain
he's right there.
podcasts are a little bit more open to the players at the top. So,
I mean, it's right there.
Yeah, it's right there. You're right, Kyle. It's right
with,
there.
with,
Not-
with
not
Lemon,
fucking-
one choice.
It's Lemon.
3 guys down.
Lemon is right there. All right. When
Uh,
life gives you
absolutely
lemons,
not.
you make lemonade, and you
Hey,
go to
hey,
boy,
Tom.
all right?
What? Remind me. Malachi Lemon's what? 5.
High.
Diego Pavia
5'11".
sized.
Says it's 5'11".
Oh,
He might even measure it
He's
at
he's
5'12".
gonna measure 5'9".
He's gonna measure at 5'12", probably.
5'12".
I will summarize this quickly, and I've said this a couple weeks ago. I was over with our buddy Lance of the Spoken. We talked about this for a long time. I think in this draft class, you take good players, and if we're just being blunt, Jeremiah Love is one of the few blue chip guys. In terms of where I would value him, I think he's a better running back prospect than Aston Gentry was last year. I have him. This is going to be hard to say. I like him more than I liked Bijan as a prospect, and I love Bijan as a prospect. You probably have to go back to Barkley before I find another running back that I've evaluated and that I like more than Jeremiah Love. So I say that to say this is a phenomenal player. He is probably one of the top 3 most talented players in this class. I'm okay with it. Garrett, tell me why we shouldn't.
Listen, I'm okay with Jeremiah Love. I am. We'll see how the Chiefs' offseason and free agent moves impact how much of a running back the need is. You know, how much of a need running back is, especially this high. Mekhi Lemon's also a really, really talented player. Let's not try to tear him down just because Jeremiah Love's there. All right, Mekhi Lemon is also a dog. I think he's the best receiver in this class, and also, I mean, running backs just don't hold up as long historically as receivers do sometimes. I'm just saying, using a top 10 pick on a running back might be a little bit of a stretch. Jeremiah Love is a dog, though, and I would not be like, if Jeremiah Love is a pick, I'd be 1,000% happy with it. No complaints whatsoever from me. I just like Mekhi Lemon a little more. And I'll just tell you one thing for certain, though. I am pounding the table to not take Keldrick Falk. Whatever we do not take Keldrick Falk. Please do not take Keldrick Falk.
You and I are going to disagree on
please do not take Keldrick Falk. Whoever it is. You can take freaking whoever. You can choose. I don't know Jamar McCoy. You can take him. I don't care. You can take freaking Ty Simpson or whatever his name is out at Alabama. Anyone but Keldrick Falk for me is my pick. So
wow.
Randy,
Yeah, you know, I'm with you, Tom. Jeremiah Love is a special running back, and with us and our constant struggles and problems watching Isaiah Pacheco run into the back of his offensive lineman, always getting hurt. He's never played a full season. You know, I've always been a huge proponent of Kareem Hunt. You know, he's a free agent, probably not going to be back. If he is, it's on the cheap, and he's going to be a sparing player. Like, we need a playmaker to help alleviate Pat's to where he has to like try to do everything on his own. Like, we need to have some assembly of a running game. I think Jeremiah, if the draft plays out this way, like, it is literally the only pick we can make.
Yeah. The other thing I'd say is one of the themes I really want the Chiefs to focus on is getting 3 down players. This rotating everybody out every set for this or that is a big tell for them. Jeremiah Love, you leave him down. You leave him on the field as much as you want, as much as he can go. So helps in the passing game, and as Pat is coming back from that injury, like Randy said, we don't want him to have to do everything on his own. People might complain, but we're going Jeremiah Love, first-round pick. And here we are.
Hey, there's Ty Simpson, Garrett. You can take it right now.
Simpson, Garrett. You want Ty Simpson?
No, but I will take the guy after him for sure. R. Mason Thomas. He is a dog, I think he's a guy that won't even make it to 40 realistically. I think he might even be a fringe first rounder. But if R. Mason Thomas is there, he's a little smaller compared to what the typical Spags measurements are. What was he measuring at? 6'2", 250.
249 is what he's projected to be.
He's got bend to him. He's got explosiveness. He's got some good power to it. Like, he's got a lot of really good traits, I think. that would really translate well to the pros. He, like I said, he might not quite be what the schematic fit for the Chiefs would be. I think he's going to be a really good pro, regardless of where he goes. And I do think he might even sneak into the first round, if not like top 35. So if he was here at 40, sprint to that podium, I think.
I was going to say this would actually be a really great board for the top of round 2 for the Chiefs, mostly because Ty Simpson is standing here, and somebody is probably going to want to come up for Ty Simpson. You think about the Dolphins could be looking at a quarterback. The Jets could be looking for a quarterback. The Falcons, they're not really nailed down. The Steelers. So there's teams here who may want to make that jump, especially to get ahead of the Dolphins here. So this would be a prime situation where you could trade down a couple spots, get some extra picks, because the Chiefs only have 6 or 7 picks. I think only 6 picks, and some of them are later. So
6, but you might get 7 with the comp pick, right?
Yeah, I think there's like 2 comp picks in the.
Hey, if Nags gets a head coaching job, that we might get it. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke, kids. That's a joke.
Yeah. All right, so I want to talk about R. Mason Thomas. I do want to scroll a little bit and look at other guys on the board.
Yeah.
AJ Halsey's, who's a safety out of LSU, kind of a do-it-all guy. I really like him. Hard to justify that pick right here. Chris Johnson out of San Diego State is a guy who's got some injury stuff, but man, is he fun. Just a great cover corner, can man up.
When healthy, Chris Johnson is a fantastic corner.
Yeah.
I just love the phrase "win healthy" when talking about draft prospects. It's great. Win healthy is always good when they've had injury problems throughout college.
One of my personal favorites is Dylan Thieneman. So again, I would say, even with liking Halsey, we could wait a little bit.
One of my absolute favorite players in this draft right now, just drop down just a little bit farther. Oh, there he is, right there. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, the safety out of Toledo. Oh. Like, if anybody watched Imaniori the other night, that's what this kid looks like to me. He's 6'2", little light for 6'2". He's like 205 pounds.
202, yeah, right at that 200 mark.
But he's fast. He's athletic. He's fantastic. One of my absolute favorite safeties in this class by far.
Really fun player.
I would say this: if they're going to take R. Mason Thomas, they're going to try to put like 20 pounds on him, because that'll put him
with the ONL too.
No, so. Well, I know, but legitimately, okay, who is this? Probably the smallest guy to play defensive end in this Spags defense in this iteration is Frank Clark. He's like 6'3", 273 is what they had him listed at, I think, with his play.
What is Gelati? I guess he's like
Gelati's pretty small.
Gelati's like 6'3", 260-ish, though.
270.
Who was the guy who we had for...
So, like I said, they're going to have to add probably 10 to 20 pounds to him to fit what they want at that spot. Now, if that doesn't change his explosiveness and his quickness, that's fine. If it does, like we saw a little, and it leads to some issues like we saw with Omar Norman Lott, that's less fine, because you're asking this guy to contribute immediately, kind of like you did with Creed on the other side of the ball in this instance. I like R. Mason Thomas. Playing in the SEC changes the level of competition that he's facing on offensive lines versus the Big 12, obviously, with OU making that change. So it's a little different there. He had some excellent games. He had a couple of questionable ones early on. I watched the Michigan game. He kind of disappeared for me for a little bit in the Michigan game at the time. He probably should have played better when they played Alabama. That Alabama offensive line isn't quite what it used to be when Saban was there.
He did have some.
He didn't blow me away. I know he just didn't blow me away with the. I know you guys are seeing the PFF grades on the screen right now, but.
Yeah.
I just watching that Alabama OU game.
Ole Miss
defense was legit. He could have made a bigger impact, I thought, and with Arch being affected by his pressure, like he's shown. Oh, that was Texas. Ty Simpson being a little more mobile. You'd like to see him get after him a little more. For me, anyway, because face it, we're going to face mobile quarterbacks at this point. This is what the league has kind of transitioned to. So, but like I said, for where this board landed, since nobody wanted me to talk about Jeremiah Love, I would probably side with Garrett on the R. Mason Thomas thing.
And the only thing, so that Texas tape, I know just the PFF grade is low. Mason Thomas was matched up with Freeling, who is going to be in this draft class, who's an NFL quality tackle. My thing I look at here, and this is on the tape, like our Mason Thomas, I think, has just such he has such an elite ability to rush the passer. I mean, a 20.3% pass rush win rate is incredible. He is okay against the run. Like he plays it hard. It's just going to be those size and limitation things. You got to coach him. You're going to have to make sure that he's got as much muscle and strength on him. I understand, we're going to put on some weight, that type of thing. I don't know if you want to do that because then you're risking taking away the one thing that he's elite at. But I think I'm willing to take a bet on the traits here. I am going to take a look. We could, if you wanted to go with a more traditional Spagsy defensive end, Zion Young is here.
Yeah, Zion Young's okay. He's not bad.
I think he's an underrated athlete, but again, not as good of a pass rusher. We look at some of the similar teams that they lined up against. He didn't fare much better, like the Alabama game for Zion Young. It's not like he was head and shoulders better. So I think our Mason Thomas has an elite pass rushing skill set, and I'm willing to roll the dice on that. Randy, how do you feel about taking a smaller edge?
I struggle with smaller edges, especially because I'm of the old school mentality. I'm a little bit more Spagsy when it comes to my defensive ends. Like I like them to be able to set an edge, hold their ground in the run game, and push a pocket. Like I don't know if a 6'2", 249-pound edge. I mean, like that's linebacker size to me. I think he's going to get swallowed by elite NFL tackles. That's my fear. Like if I was to sit here and go if I had to pick between Mason Thomas and Zion Young, I would lean Young. If you did scroll down just a little bit, there's another one of my players that I really like. Is like we talked a little bit earlier, the linebacker from Cincinnati, or you also just scrolled by Mr. Hunter from Texas Tech. I would take that fire hydrant bowling ball of a defensive above all these other guys right now. And that's not it. That's not even remotely a question to me. So if I had to pick between those top 10 players, it's the D tackle from Texas Tech, and it's not even close.
I haven't watched him yet. I am curious about. I mean, any way you can add impact to the defensive line and with this pick, I feel like is good, just because you need a lot of help at the D line, regardless. I think. So whoever you can get.
We all have to be honest. Chris Jones is not going to be around much longer. And right now, where's our defensive tackle depth? Between Omar Norman Lott is hurt and
was hurt.
He'll be back, and we got Nadi and who?
Nadi's a free agent. I think those are the only two under contract.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else.
Here. And before I go with an undersized edge player or someone who's not as dynamic in Zion Young, I take Hunter, the D tackle. It's not even a question.
Yeah,
I don't hate.
I think. I think those are good points. As I said, the Chiefs are going to have to be active in free agency. They're going to have to add players and some vets. I think that they've got guys in George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, who are those pocket pushers.
Mike Dana's gone, bro. He ain't going to be on the team no more.
Okay. I mean, he's under contract, but
he ain't going to be on the team no more.
They save a ton of money by changing out, moving on.
The other thing I would say is there's some other defensive tackles here that I like more than I like the next tier of edges.
I love Big Citrus out of Iowa State. I think he's a big, solid dude. He might be available in the third potentially, but
I'm officially voting on Mason Thomas.
Mason Thomas, yeah. I just you trying to get a guy who's gonna immediately impact on the edge. I'm tired of I understand the Spags mentality of having a bigger guy who can set the edge and blah blah blah. If you're worried about the run, that's what we paid Nick Bolton for, bro. Come on. Well, that's what come on. There's been too many times last year that our four defensive linemen just very obvious passing down situations, pinning their ears back. We talk about that as like the D lineman's dream. When it's an obvious passing down, and our D lineman didn't do anything versus that. So. If it sacrifices a little bit of the run game just so you're helping the pass rush game, I think that's a big win.
All right, Kyle.
Like I said, I haven't watched Hunter enough for me to have an opinion on Hunter. If for where this board is, I would take our Mason Thomas just as a where we're at now type of deal. Like I said, I understand the Spags underside thing. It's one of the things that concerns me. But to make big Spags would have to sign off on it. So that's where I'm at.
All right, we're gonna go Mason Thomas here, much to Randy's displeasure. I agree with Randy on a lot of things. Oh,
He's
this
like
is gonna be
21.
tough. Okay, we have a conversation to have.
Oh gosh.
I think too much of what Randy was saying. I'm not even sure Spags would take a player like this, but I do love our Mason Thomas as a pass rusher. This is one of those areas where it's like I'd love to sit in the room with the kid and figure out if what he's really made of. Because if I think he can put on that strength and really get in there and fight for that run defense, I'm good. All right, so I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag and say my current tight end 1 is on the board here, and Max Clare out of Ohio State. Y'all are gonna think I'm crazy for that. There are some other positions that the Chiefs need hanging out here. Jonah Coleman is a running back that I liked. We could double dip at edge. Derek Moore is a little bit more of a Spagsy guy. Also a guy who I think we should keep a close eye on through the process. We need a wide receiver. Skyler
Nussmeier,
is not an option because he
had we not gone Jeremiah Love, my second favorite running back in this class is Emmett Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot we went. Yeah, we went. Jeremiah.
There he
Never
is.
mind. We don't need a running back.
There he is, Zachariah Branch.
Daryl Jackson. Okay, there's one of my second favorite.
Zachariah Branch.
Daryl Jackson from Florida State.
Randy, I know you like small receivers. Zachariah Branch, come on.
Well,
Daryl Jackson was playing at the Shrine Bowl this
and
tomorrow.
he is a mountain of a man.
Does that say 337 pounds?
And he looks like the Hulk. Like
I'd be down.
He is. This is my pick right here. That is my guy right in this scenario in this round.
I gotta be honest. I'm with Tom. The Max out of Ohio State. I watched far more Ohio State than I would have preferred to this year. He's got so much talent, and he catch the ball. I know they have guys. I know that they like some of these tight ends in the room, but I think you have to seriously. If Travis does come back, this is likely it. You have to start looking at that. And if Max Clare is staring you in the face in the third round at 74, I don't know. I understand that there's some other stuff, but with the way we've already addressed running back and D-line, and legitimately, if you have you get him a year in the offense before Travis leaves. He gets to work with Travis. He gets all of the things you want a young guy like that to have. I would struggle to pass on.
I don't know, fellas. I just looked up a picture of Daryl Jackson Jr. and boy,
he's a big human.
And I just watched some of his clips. Boy, I tell you what, this guy seems like a big game wrecker. I think I'm
he replaces your Mike Pennell, Derek Nottie in one fell swoop with Norman.
Exactly. Harback. This is a guy I feel like he could be a guy.
You could go either way here. I think on either one. I would lean Max Clare.
Yeah. Max Clare. I need to watch.
Looking at our existing roster needs with 3 tight ends and the kid on the practice squad. There is some talent still left on the bone. There is no talent left on the bone when it comes to defensive tackle on our roster.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay with taking that.
I like some other tight ends a little bit later too. There's a couple of the guy out of Cincinnati is just
the kid from Houston, the Cozier or
Cozier.
Yep.
Yeah.
Justin Jolly right underneath. This tight end class is stupid deep, and like it's got flavors of everything that you could want. This is a good spot to end and to kind of remind you if you're going to try to follow the Shrine Bowl. One of the things that the conversation that's happening about Daryl Jackson right now is you look at his stats. We know he can stop the run. We know he can eat up space. There's a lot of feeling that there's some pass rush potential left. As I throw a cat left to develop here, I think even if you get him to be an average pass rusher, you have a good player, especially in the third round. Fits a need. I think as much as I love Max Clare, and I know we just talked about this. I think this makes the most sense and is also a high floor player. Tight end is a hard one to project. I think Daryl Jackson, even if you draft him today and all he is for you is a run stuffing defensive tackle, you're going to get that out of him. So I'm okay with that pick here.
Yeah, I'm down for it.
All right. And for the sake of time, we won't argue too much more. So that's just a quick 3-rounder. We're going to do more, I'm sure, throughout the season, and it'll look different as we go along. But man, if this was the top 3 takeaway, I'd be pretty happy with this.
I wouldn't be mad as well. Yeah.
So
I think you add some good flavor to the team with this.
Yeah.
Just as something else that just dropped around the NFL news, apparently Frank Reich is taking an offensive staff role with the Jets, so that's something.
Man, they just keep on making these positions. Where do we get? Hold on,
this is very large, and I don't like it. It's an unspecified offensive role with the Jets, per our favorite reporter on the planet, Mr. Flory O, at Pro Football Talk. And also, Jim Schwartz is gaining momentum for the Cleveland Browns head coaching job because
I think he's the only one left.
Will take it.
Yeah, he's the one. He's probably just still under contract. There, it's like, well, you're under contract, so I guess we'll take it as coach.
Exactly the case.
I got to give Ted Wynn credit. He quote tweeted that little piece of news and said, "Translation: Nobody else wants the job.
Literally nobody else." So
yeah.
I don't even Nagy's like, I'll take a year off, guys. It's really okay. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not even. I coached the Bears. I coached the Bears with Mr. Trubisky. I don't need the Browns with Pro Bowl quarterback Shadur Sanders on the roster in a roster battle with checks notes, Dylan Gabriel, and the corpse of Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco on the Bengals now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They traded him to the Bengals in the middle of the season because Cleveland was stacked at quarterback, guys. They had Pro Bowl
mid-season trade of like a 39-year-old quarterback, whatever. Kind of crazy.
The Colts drug high school coach Phillip Rivers out of 5 years of retirement and then got him a head coaching interview out of the deal. So, I mean, anything's possible this year.
Yeah, the NFL, it's a crazy place right now, but we're going to keep on navigating these waters as we can, doing more draft stuff, looking ahead. Soon we'll be looking at free agency and stuff like that, but while there's still a lot of uncertainty around that, we're going to keep looking at draft prospects. These all-star games are going on, Senior Bowl this coming weekend. Combine is going to be at the end of February, so that'll be another thing we can look forward to, and then pro days and everything else in between that, and then and free agency basically is what we got going on. So we appreciate everyone for rocking with us.
Sounds like we're getting an EB interview this week, so that should be something.
Yep,
of
got that coming
he's
too.
Usually a little more blunt
with
the media than everybody else has been.
Yeah, so we'll definitely keep up on that as well. So we appreciate everyone for rocking with us for this one, a little bit longer episode, but we're just out here having a good time in the midst of the off season for us, as the Super Bowl is yet to be decided and all the festivities can kind of come and go. We don't get to participate in any of that this year, so I don't really care about it. I really haven't I haven't invested a lot into these Super Bowl and championship games and whatnot. So just full steam ahead to the draft. Full steam ahead to the off season and getting better with next year. 2026 is going to be a good year, I think. So. We appreciate you rocking with us. Be sure to check us out at Kingdom Says Pod, Facebook,
skip free agency,
and Instagram. What?
You said don't skip.
Don't skip free agency. They're going to be active. They're going to be active this year. This is going to look.
I feel like I've said free.
You did, but then you said that. But then you said at full speed ahead to the draft. So you just
because we can't because we don't know free agents yet, Kyle. I said that.
I know.
I said that. Remember when I said that?
I know.
God, stop fighting. We just want to go home.
I'm just saying it's going to be a very different
experience at Waffle House.
The Chiefs are like $20 million over the cap right now. We can't talk about a damn free agent until we cut some people. So
there's going to be some pretty significant restructuring and hopefully a couple pieces of dead weight we can get rid of. And
there'll be extensions. There'll be restructures.
Plenty of room.
Yes, and they're going to be a lot more active because they got to get, as Garrett mentioned earlier, they got to get some vets this year. I think Tom said it too. They have to add I think they only have, by the time they're done cutting everybody that they're going to probably cut, they're going to have like 20 something guys on the roster, so it's going to be busy.
Yeah. So it should be a busy Austin. Free agency, draft. Anything else that I missed in there? More coaching interviews.
I'm gonna
Lots
grow
of
hair.
those.
Any other random event that we need to add into that?
The Pro Bowl skills comp's coming
Pro
up,
Bowl
maybe.
skills.
We
Pro
gotta-
Bowl skills. Do we have any players who are actually playing in that? Do we know who's
No.
left that's actually playing? Is Creed going?
I don't know.
Chris,
He did get an
Holden.
all. I don't know, but Creed did get a first team All Pro. So shout out
Yeah,
Creed. Good job.
I just
buddy.
don't know how many of our guys are actually going to the Pro Bowl. But hey, if they
No
do,
idea.
I'll be excited to see them playing like the golf contest or whatever the hell. They got some stupid. That's another part of the problem. They got some stupid games in the Pro Bowl games. Some of this stuff. It's like, what are we doing?
I just hope Travis actually wins the full blown Walter Payton Man of the Year award this time, so that we don't have to nominate him again next year.
Yeah, I doubt it, unfortunately. But hey, we'll get the. We'll see. All right,
He won the fan vote, so he got that money for the charity.
You're right.
For Operation
Hall of
Breakthrough,
Fame.
so.
We forgot about the Hall of Fame because that's
Yeah.
All right, so that's everything. That's everything we've got for you.
All right.
We appreciate you rocking with us at Kingdom Says Pod. Facebook, X, and Instagram is where you can find us. YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music is where you can listen to us. And we've got a lot of good content coming on this off season for all this fun stuff that we got coming up. So be sure to rock with us. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Oh, Randy has a cat now too. Let's go.
Yes, S'mores want to say hi.
Okay. Any other distractions, Tom or Kyle? Where are your animals at? Come on, we need another animal distraction.
He's not locked. He's locked out of the room right now. He's not in here.
Yeah. Tank's too big to fit on your lap. Yeah, you can't just hoist that guy up and be like, hey, look, it's Tank. He's a little big. So, all right, we're gonna get out of here now. Officially, it's officially official. We're gonna get out of here. We will see you guys on the next episode of The Kingdom Says.